Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your MC for today's event, which is James Lewis, a diamond from Georgia.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. It's good to have everybody here. We've got a good group lined up. We've got guests from Wisconsin, Arizona, Utah, Washington State, Indonesia, Colombia, South America. So a good crowd coming in. It's good to have everybody on this call. And I always look forward to these Thursday night calls. I get to hear Steve. It never gets old. I get to hear Steve share his heart, and it means a lot. I've known Steve for the past, I guess, 14 years and worked with him in a previous company, came over here with his new breakthrough. And once my family tried this new breakthrough technology, it was an easy decision to come and build this new organization with Steve. And we're excited about what we're doing. We're excited about where we're going. 72 countries, fixing to be 74. Just hang on to your seat and enjoy the ride. So without any further ado, I'll give you Mr. Stephen K. Scott. Go ahead, Steve.
Thank you. And we have somebody that's doing the admitting of all these people so I can ignore what's on my screen. Okay, good.
Yep.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
it's good to see everybody. A lot of stuff is going on. I worked for years with a man named Dick Clark. Dick was a production icon, television icon here in America. He had the show American Bandstand that went back to when I was a kid and my sister was a teenager. He had New Year's Eve rock and roll. He owned the Grammy Awards. He owned all these award shows. And he became a very dear friend. And we did a lot of work together. We worked together for about 15 years prior to his death, of course. But I remember on American Bandstand, he'd always have a phrase when sometimes he would say, and the hits just keep on coming. And, he'd have 4 or 5 new hits to play during during the show that were brand new to the charts. But man, they were big hits. This is back in the early days of rock and roll, all the way through the 50s, 60s, 70s. And that's how I feel about NUMMI. I feel the hits just keep on coming. We have launched some new product. We haven't launched it yet. We launch it August 1st here in North America. It'll come to Europe and to other countries as fast as we can get approvals. But man, people are just raving about it. I mean, I'm hearing stuff, the day after people get it. I heard one today where the guy tried it for the first time and his wife said, I came to work and he called me and he goes, man, he goes, my whole brain is on fire. I just feel like I'm hearing and seeing and noticing everything. This is unbelievable. And, but it is a product called Neuro. Does it have glutathione and cysteine? Yes. Does it replace NutraSwish? No. It is a companion. You put the two together. What I do in the morning, before we get into the science of everything, I swish at the moment I wake up, man. I go right into the bathroom, put my little 2 capfuls in my mouth, and I start swishing. I swish while I'm in the shower, when I'm shaving, when I'm putting my contacts in. So I get a good 3 or 4 minutes at least, sometimes longer. But I love it because the moment I finish swishing, I'm good for the day, just good for the day. So today I thought, well, before I go into work, it's probably been a half hour since I had done my NutraSwish. And I picked the Neuro product, the brain product. Thought, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's do the day and see how I get through the day with a dose of this as well, or a serving of it. So I did a serving of that, switched that for probably, I think, about a minute. And I just got to tell you, this was a good day. I was alert to everything. I've done calls today, and calls for me are like maybe a little different than calls for you because I'm on with doctors. I'm on for an hour at a time. I was on with a number of doctors today on an 11 o'clock call. Then I had another call at 1. And, but it's, and they always have questions. Today, everybody on the doctor's call had heard me present the science before. So I just opened it up for questions. And they were great questions. And I mean, everybody was hung up excited. But a lot of good things going on. We had a new diamond at our birthday party. And the reason, what makes this diamond special, not that every diamond isn't special, everybody on this call is special because you're a member of a family, a worldwide family. And, but this particular person, I had seen on a morning call for maybe 2 weeks, every time when we were doing that 90-day rush. And she was always there, and I had never talked to her. I had no idea where she lived or anything, but I finally just said, Christy Price, where are you from? And she says, well, I'm up here in Alberta, Canada. And right now you're on a big screen and there's 260 horse owners, equestrian riders that are watching the big screen and you're on. Now, isn't that crazy? Didn't even know it. And she said, not only are all of us on the product, but our horses are on the product. It's a product for humans. Not that it'll hurt a horse or anything, but you know, it's not designed for horses. I said, really? She said, yeah, and the results are phenomenal. People are winning events that didn't expect to, and so on. And so I said, I'll call you right back after the end of the call. I find out they had, at the time, 266 horses. A week later, by the time we got to our birthday party, it was at 321. And when I announced it at the party, she already had changed it in a day. She says, oh, no, now it's up. We got another 6 today. I mean, crazy. She's the only person in our whole Numi family who made diamond because of horses. But you know what? Horses are mammals. All mammals, every animal needs glutathione, which is our specialty, and we deliver it in a way that nobody else in the world can deliver it. And the results are amazing. There'd be no life on Earth without glutathione. No trees, no plants, no fish, no horses. Look, there's even a horse on my thing, on my shirt. Now, that's not because we're trying to get product to horses right now. It's because that was the mascot for my daughter's first year in college. So we went back for Parents' Day, and of course we bought a shirt and a baseball cap and a bunch of other stuff. That was a few years ago. Anyway, and now my daughter's getting married. And September 7th, which isn't that far away. And so everybody in our family has assignments. We're all getting ready because she's going to get married right here at our own house. We have a kind of a big piece of property, and she'd always dreamed, she said, from the time she was a little girl that she would get married here. And why am I telling you all this? Because we're all part of the Numi family. Do you know anytime you go any place in the world, if there's a Numi family member near you, they'll get so excited to get a call from you and show you their town and clue you in on what's going on and what isn't. That's how it works. And we find that wherever we go in the world, and I've been to quite a few places. I'm going to be going to some more places that we're not announcing yet, but it's very exciting that I'm going to get to go. I just got invited today. And I will be going up to Calgary, Canada, to meet with all these horse owners and with the vets, because the vets are giving it out for different things. So it's pretty exciting. You know, when you have something that's real and not a placebo, something that isn't hype that you're making things up about, who knows where the applications are going to be. So we started with NutraSwish. Then the second thing we added was a skincare product. Then the third thing was hers. I know it's not everywhere in the world right now, but give us time. And it's not our fault that we're not everywhere in the world. Every country has its own regulations. They have their own ingredients lists that they'll accept or not accept. And when you get a country that you really want to be in, oh, I see Sandy Norris is here. I haven't seen Sandy forever. Hi, Sandy. You don't have to say hi, but it's good to see you on the call. She's a good friend from a very long time, and she's been in the glutathione field for almost as long as I have. But anyway, and we did a French call just the other day, and Florence was our translator, and she had over 40 people on the call. Zoom call. So that was the other morning. It just keeps going. It just keeps going. And I was on today with, like I said, doctors. I'm going to be on with some coaches and athletes. I'm going to be on with a firefighters union, the head of this union for the whole state. We're going to get on the call. Everybody needs this product. It's life-changing. It's life-saving. It's life-lengthening. And so we started with the nutritional product, and it really wasn't to bring your body more nutrition. It wasn't a vitamin. Our goal, the most important molecule in life, right there with oxygen, because there's no life without it, is glutathione. And glutathione is a very difficult molecule to get into the cell for a couple of reasons. First, it can't survive the stomach. As soon as it gets in the stomach, it breaks. It's very fragile. Its rate limit, it's made up of 3 amino acids, glutamic acid, glycine, and L-cysteine. And those are all sewn together in the cytoplasm of your cells through a 100 sequential step electrochemical process. But you got to get the raw materials in the cells, and getting the 2 of the peptides, glycine and glutamic acid, are easy. Getting L-cysteine or cysteine through the cells, into the cells, very, very hard, because it's the fragile part of glutathione. It has a sulfur molecule you'll hear about that breaks right off as soon as it hits the stomach acid. And if it's a broken molecule, it doesn't get accepted into the cell. You can buy it anywhere. You can buy glutathione capsules at your favorite health food store. You can get a patch. I won't get into that because that came up with the doctor's call. And man, those patches are expensive, but they don't infuse glutathione. They supposedly, and I'm not going to negate their science, they supposedly send some kind of wave into your body through your bloodstream that helps the cells produce more glutathione. But the problem is, if you don't have those 3 amino acids, and the one that's always in short supply is L-cysteine, a patch cannot make L-cysteine magically appear. Okay, now we've said enough about that. Okay, glutathione, let's talk about it. It's the most important molecule in life. There's no life without it. Why? Well, in the human body, it performs at least 400 functions that we know about. So let's start with the most important. It's not what it's known for, but there's no life without it if it doesn't do this one. When your body makes that hemoglobin molecule, the purpose is for it to connect and bind to oxygen and then deliver that oxygen to the 50 trillion cells in your body. Problem is, it has the wrong electromagnetic charge. So it's like trying to bring north poles of magnets together. Remember that when you were a little kid and you get them so close and you think, this time I'm going to do it. They start to vibrate. Oh, you cannot do it no matter what you do. And the same thing with oxygen or hemoglobin and oxygen. So the hemoglobin molecule has to be reduced to a +2. Only way it can bind to oxygen. When it's reduced to a +2, it binds to the oxygen and delivers that oxygen to 50 trillion cells in your body. Problem is that, okay, I saw somebody on the phone and that distracted me. I'm the highest ADD ever measured by the University of Utah, by far. One of my brain waves didn't even show up, and they didn't know that was humanly possible. And so I'm easily distracted. But back to hemoglobin, the only molecule that can make that reduction so it can bind to oxygen is glutathione. Now, can you believe I can talk to 1,000 doctors and not one of them knew that? I mean, it's crazy. But doctors, remember, this is a real important statement. Doctors are wonderful, but they are not scientists. Now, occasionally you'll find one that is both a doctor, like we have one on our medical board, Doug Harrington, who is a world-renowned pathologist, has brought over 200 therapies for cancer treatment and heart disease to the world. The world's using them right now. When I introduced him to one medicinal scientist that I had tremendous respect for, Dr. Herbert Nagasawa from the University of Minnesota, Herb spent about 2 hours with him and then told his son, Scott, he said, now there is a real scientist. See, science, that's a little different level on the food chain. And they're the ones that usually do most of the studies. Not all of them, but most of them. And so anyway, ask a scientist if he knows about glutathione, if he's a medicinal chemist, pharmacist, not your drugstore pharmacist, I'm talking pharmaceutical science, or a microbiologist. Ask them about glutathione, they'll talk your head off. Ask your doctor about it, and he says, is that related to glucosamine? No more than a car is related to a piece of wood. Completely different. And then you have to explain. So about half the doctors in the United States know that glutathione, there is something. Some of them, when my son went through medical school, one of my sons, I looked at his molecular biology book, and it had one paragraph on the most important molecule in life that performs 400 critical functions in your body. One paragraph. That's like trying to take a thumbnail picture about this big of the Grand Canyon and then telling your friends, wow, look at that. Is that just so crazy? It's 5 miles across in diameter, crossways. It's a mile deep. And they say, yeah, but that's a black and white thumbnail picture. How can you know that? You can't. Glutathione is massive. It's like Mount Everest compared to any other molecule. And you'll hear why. So we've just covered one. No oxygen transfer without it. Critical. Number 2, it is the sole protector of your immune system. Your immune system is designed to protect you from bacterial and viral insults. You get a bacteria or a virus and it gets in your body, and what does it start to do? It not only makes you sick, but it starts to multiply. So it starts out this big, and then pretty soon it's this big, and then, okay. And you see that, especially, you see it with just about anything, bacteria or virus. So one of the problems about bacteria and viruses is they reproduce at an extraordinarily fast rate. Well, your immune cells counter that with 2 assassins. Primary assassin, I shouldn't use that word now in this environment, but that's how scientists describe it. They call it an assassin, is the T cell. The T cell targets the bacteria or virus and begins to focus on trying to kill it. The B cell does the same thing, but the T cell is far more perverse, far more pervasive, and can replicate faster. Now, how fast it replicates or reproduces is dependent on glutathione. If you have low levels of glutathione, and the older you get, the lower your levels, the more cofactors, comorbidity factors, diabetes, pulmonary disease, kidney diseases, cardiovascular diseases, all those things lower your glutathione levels. How about athletic workouts? Okay, when I heard this, I thought, wow, what a great excuse for me never to work out again. But it would only be an excuse because when you lower your glutathione level in a workout, which happens automatically because your workout produces tremendous amounts of oxidative stress, it'll come back pretty soon after the workout. So we need exercise. And tomorrow, I think, is the day I'm going to actually get on one of the 3 total gyms in my house and start working out. But so what happens is at low glutathione levels, your T cells reproduce like this, while the bacteria or virus is reproducing like that. So you lose. The T cells lose. In COVID, people died. There was a reason for that. The COVID virus was causing tremendous oxidative stress in the lining of the lungs that resulted in this very rapid inflammation. And that inflammation would become host for pneumonia. And it was the pneumonia that was killing people. And but on the other hand, if you raise your glutathione levels, your T cells and B cells will produce at a much faster rate. and get ahead of it. In fact, one scientist from Russia wrote an article that was published in the Journal of Infectious Diseases in May of 2020. You can look the article up. The title is Low Levels of Endogenous, keyword, that means made by your body, not taken in from the outside. We're not an endogenous product. Your body on the inside of the cell manufactures glutathione. So that's endogenous glutathione. We're exogenous. We come in to the body from the outside. But the article read, low levels of endogenous glutathione as the cause of severe symptoms and death with COVID-19 patients. And he proved his point that now people said, well, I thought that obesity and diabetes and all these cofactors cause the death. Well, guess what? They create more oxidative stress that lowers your glutathione levels. So your glutathione is not available in the amount it needs to be to give the T cells, the immune system, what it needs to reproduce rapidly. Okay, I know we're covering a lot of stuff here, but you might as well learn it. And don't try to repeat this. We're putting them on videos. We already have explanatory videos. Don't try to repeat. It's taken me how many years? 2006 to, 18 years to compile all of this in my brain and read lots of articles and be mentored by some brilliant scientists in this whole area. But I try to make it visual and easy. So T cells, raise your glutathione levels, your T cells will be able to multiply at a faster rate and oftentimes get the virus or bacteria under control. What else besides the immune system? That's pretty important. Well, how about your mitochondrial DNA? Did you know every cell has mitochondria and has mitochondrial DNA? As long as that mitochondrial DNA remains intact, unbroken, I know that's the title of a great book and a good movie, but we're using it for the cell. As long as it remains unbroken, the cell can't mutate and multiply. In fact, Dr. Dean Jones, who is an incredible microbiologist, he's well published. Years ago, he had 74 publications. My guess is he's probably published over 100 studies. But he was addressing a cancer symposium research, and he made this statement. I memorized it because that's what my brain does. And he said, if we want to prevent cancer, we must find ways to raise glutathione levels in the cell. And then he said, let me explain. 95%, and I'm quoting him verbatim, 95% of all cancers gain traction in the human body when the mitochondrial DNA is broken. What breaks the mitochondrial DNA is the chemical load inside the cell. And glutathione is the detoxifier of the cell, and I'll explain that in a second. And so if we can raise glutathione levels in the cell, we can lower the chemical toxic load and thereby prolong the integrity of the mitochondrial DNA. Now, he made that statement years before I was involved in glutathione. And, but I thought that was pretty cool. So we want to protect the mitochondrial DNA, and glutathione is the only thing that can do it, because there's two things primarily that break the mitochondrial DNA. The huge thing that is the main culprit, he's the real bad guy with hand grenades, machine guns, and everything else. Are the chemicals. Everybody on this call has at least 200 industrial chemicals in your body right now that aren't meant to be there. And the only thing that can get them out of the cell is glutathione. How does it do it? The sulfhydryl molecule that's part of the L-cysteine molecule, that's 1/3 of the tripeptide, that sulfhydryl molecule is real sticky, like fly paper or spider traps, and it sticks to the chemical and it gets it out of the cell, or at least it keeps it from doing any damage. So that's critical. So glutathione is the detoxifier of the cell. That's another thing it does. But in doing so, it's protecting the integrity of your mitochondrial DNA. Now, you have 50 trillion cells. Now, what glutathione is best known for, and that's what we're going to tell you right now, is Michael's going to pull up a slide. Let's start with the slide of the cell. Here it comes. Isn't Michael fast? He is so wonderful. Okay, that's a cross section of what your cells look like. And it's not magnified to the point that you can see the DNA. I mean, that would take another huge increase in magnification. But all these parts are communicating and working in synchronicity, in a synchronized form with all the other parts. It's a huge operation. In fact, every cell in your body is more complex than the most complex machine ever built by mankind, which was the Saturn V rocket that took American astronauts to the moon. And it was not only that rocket, it had a lunar lander, it had a lunar orbiter, and then it had the main cabin. And of course, it had 5 massive engines that put out a total of 7.5 million pounds of thrust, enough to lift 3,500 automobiles all stacked on top of each other off the launching pad. Well, and now that complex system took 35,000 engineers 8 years to design and build. And every cell in your body is more complex than that, more communicating systems and so on. Your cells make their own fuel. How about that? Have you ever heard of an engine that makes its own petroleum? Doesn't happen, but your cells do. In the mitochondria are little motors that have to be energized with fuel, and the fuel they make is a fuel called adenosine triphosphate, ATP. And when it creates that fuel, when it manufactures that fuel, it creates the equivalent of an old school bus stopped at a stoplight, getting the green light, and as it pulls away, you see all that black smoke that used to appear when I was a little kid. And that's what happens when mitochondria makes adenosine triphosphate. It creates all this oxidative stress. Well, actually, it creates free radicals that create the oxidative stress. So what glutathione is best known for is its antioxidant value. Now, what does that mean? Well, every cell in your body is attacked by 10 to 20,000 free radicals every day from birth to death. So we're going to show you what that looks like. This is where the Chicago Bulls play, the arena, and that's 20,000 people. That's how many free radicals attack every cell in your body every day of your life. So it's like if I made an announcement, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give $1 million to every one of you that can land a blow to that one guy in center court. You'd see the stamp. You just see a stampede. Everybody'd want it, right? Well, that's what happens to our poor little cells. They get attacked by 10 to 20,000 free radicals a day. Now, if you want to know what it has to endure for 5 days, look at this. It's coming. There you go. That's 100,000 people. And now put a guy right in the middle of that M at University of Michigan and tell the stands the same thing. Everybody gets $1 million who lands a blow. You know, you wouldn't stand a chance. And if you survived, the very next day it would start all over again until finally the free radicals win and the cell dies. So what happens is those free radicals, when they're left unattended or unmitigated, create oxidative stress. And that they're scavengers. They steal an electron from the cell. And when they steal that electron, it creates an overabundance of oxygen that the cell can't process and creates what's called oxidative stress. What does that do? Number one, it puts inflammation in the cell. Now, remember the diagram of the cell that we just the cross section. Imagine throwing little plops of mud or jelly from a peanut butter and jelly or peanut butter into that cell. Things aren't going to work real well. They're obstructive in nature. Inflammation is your body's mortal enemy. It's obstructive. It obstructs the normal flow and systems inside the cell, and it's created by the free radicals that are attacking the cell. Now, the way an antioxidant works, this is so cool. antioxidants donate one of their electrons to the free radical. And when that donation takes place, the antioxidant then sequesters or neutralizes that free radical. Now, the problem is there's a whole spectrum of free radicals. They have different sources. Some are oxygen-based, some are hydrogen-based, some are nitrogen-based. And they have different sources, different chemical compositions, different structures. And all antioxidants are monofocused, meaning each one can take out one type, but they can't take out any of the others. So vitamin C can take out that bad boy, but it leaves all of these guys: vitamin E, CoQ10, superoxide dismutase, catalase, okay, glutathione. But except glutathione, unlike all the others, isn't monofocused. Glutathione can sequester and neutralize all free radicals, regardless of their source, structure, or composition. Now, one bad boy that we have to deal with, that our parents and grandparents didn't have to deal with, is called peroxynitrite. It's a really bad boy because it lives 1 billion times longer than oxygen-based free radicals. And most of the free radicals in your body are oxygen-based. But it lives 1 billion times longer. It lives so long it can transfer from one cell to the other. And guess what it does? It attacks your mitochondrial DNA, the very thing we want to protect. Well, glutathione is the only antioxidant, the only one that can sequester and neutralize peroxynitrite. Now, how do we get peroxynitrite? Well, anytime you see a cell tower, those little antennas on top are emitting microwaves, 5G towers especially, and those microwaves penetrate our body and react with the nitrogen in our body, and that creates peroxynitrite. We need a defense, and glutathione is the first line of defense for every cell in your body. Now, what happened is, the problem is our glutathione levels decline as we age, 8 to 15% per decade, starting at the age of 20. As it declines, not only do we start the aging process, do you know the aging process actually starts at the age of 20 when glutathione levels start to decline? And you say, well, you start getting older right out of that, but that's not aging. Aging is when 12 particular biomarkers start to decline. They all start to decline at the age of 20. And they decline because the decline in glutathione opens the gateway to accelerated aging and 78 disease classes related to accelerated aging. Now, accelerated aging, nobody likes it. Your cells don't like it. Your heart, your brain, your kidneys, nobody likes to get older faster than they're supposed to get. But that's what happens, caused by the free radicals and the oxidative stress. So oxidative stress from the free radical causes two terrible actions. Number one, inflammation. Number two, accelerated aging. So do you want to get older faster? Do you want your brain to get older faster? Your heart, your kidneys, your lungs? No, because as they get older, things get worse. You know, your health goes down, your performance, your daily performance, your enthusiasm and energy for life goes down, and glutathione is the key. So what have we done? Well, let's all go to the store and buy glutathione capsules. Yeah, won't work. Why? Because what they've done is they've encapsulated the glutathione molecule with fats called lipids. So it's liposomal delivery. Well, that does two things. Number one, it makes the molecule size bigger, and bigger isn't better. Bigger is badder. Why? Because your cells are so tiny. Your average human cell is only 100 nanometers. One strand of your hair is 80,000 nanometers in thickness. One strand, just the thickness. A piece of typing paper here, or a piece of notebook paper. This piece of paper is 100,000 nanometers thick. Well, your cell is only 10 nanometers in diameter, and the pore in that cell, which is what you have to get inside to penetrate the cell, is only 10 nanometers. So 100 nanometers in diameter, 10 nanometers in the pores. And so that's the problem with lipids. Some cells are bigger, so there is some advantage to liposomal delivery. It will help a little, but not much. It's like riding a bicycle up a steep hill in high gear. You pedal real fast and you get a little bit of results. You may or may not make it to the top of the hill. Now, another way is IV. Woohoo! Let's go get a glutathione IV. It takes about an hour. It costs $200 to $300. And the half-life of glutathione, once that gets into your cells, is only 90 minutes. So that gives you about a 6-hour bang for the buck with about a 20 to 30-hour tail. And that's much less potent. And so that's a lot of money to pay for, for 24 hours. You really need to get an IV every day or every other day at worst case, if you wanted to really be effective. Now, a lot of athletes will do it right before a game so they can get a boost. Most athletes don't. They don't want to waste an hour of their life. And they don't like the discomfort of a needle in their arm. And, they don't know how they're going to handle it. What we've done, we've made our particle size so small. We didn't actually reduce the particle size. We just encapsulated the molecules with water. We developed a process called hydrostat where we encapsulate the molecules with water instead of fats. And that allows us to keep the particle size so tiny that it no problem getting into the cells. And it took years and millions of dollars for us to do that. But we had it down in 2018. We didn't start NUMMI till 2021. But in 2018, I knew if we really had it, if it really was what we thought it was, it'd make a huge difference in athletic performance. So I gave it to one athlete who was an endurance athlete. He tried it. He was just in our office the other day. His workout, any of you can duplicate this. He just runs on a treadmill for an hour at a 25-degree incline. And then he jumps off the treadmill. And for the next hour, he does very aggressive rowing. Okay. Is he insane? Maybe a little, but he loves it. And he was the very first athlete that tried this. He took it home. I saw him at a party. He took it home. Went to the car, got him some. I said, when's the next time you're going to work out? And the party was in the afternoon. He said, tonight. I said, let me know how it works. He calls me up at 10 o'clock at night and said, Steve, this is the most unbelievable athletic product ever created. And he told me all the reasons why. I said, that's cool. Let's get together tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. We get together and he said, it's better than I thought. Why? He said, every day for the last 10 years, I wake up from my workout. I'm stiff. I'm sore. I have to do a roller on my legs for about 10 minutes. Then I have to do 20 minutes of stretching. Then I do 20 to 30 minutes of yoga just so I can function in the day. Yeah, he's a little crazy, but he's in very good shape. And, but he said, I woke up this morning and there was no soreness, no stiffness. Steve, this is a breakthrough. I said, I know. And so I sent it to another athlete. We'll bring that slide up now, named Bill Gillespie. Bill was the strength and conditioning coach for the professional football team, the Seattle Seahawks, but he was also an amateur weightlifter, which means he gets drug tested after every meet. And so I sent it to Bill. I said, I called him up, how you doing? And let's go to his chart. That's the next slide. And see, when Bill was 49, you see that red 804. Michael, you got to tell me the kilos. Okay. At 49, he set the world record, 804 pounds, 400 and some odd kilos. Then it was downhill. Why? You lose lean muscle, your recovery time slows down. He could only lift heavy once a week instead of 4 times a week. And that's what he did. And so I called him, how you doing? Not good. My lift is down to 715 is what it was really down to. And he says, I can only work out heavy once a week. And I'm sore from a lifetime of weightlifting, all this inflammation. I wake up hurting, hurt all day, go to bed hurting. I said, Bill, I'm sending you something that's going to change everything. So he got on it at the age of 59. At 60, let's go. He bench pressed 1,050 pounds. Now that's a lot of weight. Set a new world record as a 60-year-old. And at 62, his bench went to 1,129.8 pounds, a new world record. And I think, Michael, that's what, 500 and some odd? Here, Michael will put it up there. We're waiting. Dun, dun. 512 kilos. Now that's a lot of weight. That's more than a grand piano weighs. And he could bench it, okay? So that set a new world record. Now, how, from the age of 59 to 62, do you go to a performance level that's 40% greater than when you were in your prime? The answer is reduce oxidative stress. And that's what he was doing. You reduce oxidative stress, you accelerate recovery, all of those things. So now we have lots of athletes. One athlete was in a 100-mile bike race, combat veteran, and she, at mile 37, she's breaking all of her records. At mile 37, she goes end over end, hits the pavement so hard, breaks her helmet, knocks her out. She wakes up in a hospital, but her face hit the pavement at 22 miles an hour. Road rash, abrasions, all sorts of things. She sent me a picture that day, and oh, my heart sank. And because a good friend of ours, she was an Army captain, her husband was an Army colonel. And she said, you know, I'm really hurting. And she says, I've got terrible concussion headache. I said, swish right now. So I told her husband, look for a clear bottle of liquid in her vest, pull it out. She knows what to do after that. So she swished. She texts me right away. She says, headache gone, completely gone. And, but she gets home. She's hospitalized Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night. She gets home and it still has all this stuff on her face. So she thinks, hey, this stuff's nano. Maybe it'll help my face heal. The plastic surgeon in the hospital said it was going to take 5 weeks to clear, and then she'd have to wait 60 days and then come in for plastic surgery to deal with the scars. Well, she started it on Tuesday night, did it 3 times Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. By Sunday, her face was completely clear, not a mark, not a scar. And when I saw that, I thought, my goodness, we have the world's best skincare product. I had owned 5 different cosmetic companies, and I loved makeup because we had a great no makeup. You couldn't see the texture, but it was incredible. And had great formulators. Head of the, in fact, the president of the American Society of Cosmetic Chemists was my formulator in those companies. And he later went on to be the head formulator of the company that created Botox, Allergan. But what I hated about skincare is you couldn't get good before and afters. Well, when I saw what happened with this athlete's face, I thought we might have the world's best skincare where you can get before and afters. So we're just going to show you a few of them. We'll start with the first one that came back. This is Sherry Warner. She was 59 at the time. And I told everybody, spray your face. I put them in spray bottles, spray your face 5 times a day for 8 weeks. Well, after 7 weeks, she was so excited she couldn't wait any longer. And she sent me those pictures. I sent them to my former formulator, and he real quick called me. I mean, literally maybe 60 seconds after he got them. And he said, Steve, I hate to tell you, she's had a facelift. There's no product in the world, no topical product can do this. Botox can't even do that. Look at how much brighter, how tighter. Look how it opens up her eyes. She's had a facelift. I said, no, she hasn't. She lives on a farm, owns a farm, works on a farm, and no scalpels ever touched her face. He said, well, you got something. How the heck are you doing it? Except he didn't say heck. He said, there's nothing in the world that can do this. I said, but we're going to do it. I'll send you some more pictures. Okay, now we'll look at a few more, just so you know it's not a fluke. And then I'll tell you, those were my hands. I sprayed my right hand for 12 weeks, but didn't spray my left hand. Needless to say, the left hand looks like an aging man. I was only 71 at the time. I'll be 76 in a few weeks. And I sprayed my right hand and look at the difference. Next. This is an 84-year-old. Now she'd be 85 because this picture came last year. When I saw that, look at her neck, look at her chin. I mean, it's just amazing. Her lips. or right above her lips. And I said, how often did you spray? And she said, I had a strategy. I had bottles of the spray all over the house, bottles of the Swish. And anytime I passed a bottle, if it was Swish, I swished. And if it was the spray, I'd spray. I said, well, how many times a day do you think? She said, I couldn't keep count. Well, it shows. Can you imagine those results in 4 weeks? Normally, you'd see results like that in 10 to 12 weeks if you sprayed 4 to 5 times a day. She was spraying a lot more. Next. There we go. These are the legs of an 80-plus-year-old, and she thought she was just going to have, in her words, not mine, old lady legs because she was old. Well, she sprayed them for 10 weeks, and guess what? They don't look old anymore. Next. This lady is an esthetician. She owns her own salon in Miami, Florida. She said, Steve, I can't wait 8 weeks. It's been 8 days. Where did my pores go? Look how much smoother my skin is. Look at how much brighter. Look how it opened my eyes. She said, there's nothing that I've been in skincare my whole adult life. There's nothing that can do this. Well, we do it. Next. We're almost done with the pictures. Now, I like this one. This one came to us last year, and I met this lady. She's 60 years old. Now, that was a month, and it looks like she might have had a facelift like Sherry. But look what happened after 6 months. Here we go. Look at that. Now go to the side-by-side. There's nothing in the world that can do that, folks. We've got the only thing that can. She honestly, when Aaron and I, our CEO, saw her, we thought she was probably about 42 to 45, 60 years old. Next, just a few more. This guy's 67, and that was 6 weeks. Look at the difference. Look at the before and the after 6 weeks. Okay, next. Okay, that's got a lot of dehydration. Now, we help with that. Why? Because we've also nanosized hyaluronic acid, which is a great moisturizer. Next. This is a young girl, but even here you can see, I think she was 25. You can see how much smoother her skin is, how even her skin tone is, how it's open. I mean, it is truly remarkable. Next. 83-year-old in 3 weeks. She sprayed 5 times a day. Next. Okay, there, this lady was a smoker, and you can see the damage, and then you can see the repair. Next. Okay, that was 6 days. That's pretty fast. That's remarkably fast. Next. Okay, she's in Nigeria. Her daughter, a doctor, gave her the product, and look what it did. It managed all the melanin production, which is that discoloration above her, around her eyes and forehead. Amazing. She was blown away. Next. And we're going to end with, not that one, that's sun damage skin. We're ending with this. He's 94 years old. Now look closely at his before picture and look at the after. And he said, and now he swishes and sprays. And he said, the best thing about it isn't how I look, it's how I feel, because I feel like the guy on the right. I no longer feel like the guy on the left. Okay, back to me, Michael, and we're just about done, folks. Congratulations on your endurance. It's been, we've been on the phone for 59 minutes. Know that you're loved. We are thrilled to support you. You are part of our family. I see so many people that I know, I see guys my age and older. That's always good. Larry Wilson, Sherman Unkefer. They outrank me by a couple years, but you never know it. And but I see a lot of friends, that we've made and knew me, but at the same time, many go back to previous companies. So thank you for joining us. We'll do this again next Thursday. Friday, if you're in the Southern Hemisphere, Friday morning. And let's bring your friends and relatives, and just so they can hear this. Now, don't try to repeat it. We have explanation videos, and they're available in your market. They're in your back office. They're on your app. If you've gotten the app, by the way, you can download that app for free. Don't get frustrated. It takes a little while to learn it, but we've got tutorial videos they're 2 to 3 minutes each, and you can watch them over and over again until you got it down. Because that app by itself with you at the control will build your business. You can send out videos, you know, when people are watching them. You can sign people up right on your app. They don't even have to go to a website. So it's really amazing. And that's new. And Michael, do you have anything you want to say, or James, either one of you?
All right, thank you, Steve. What a great call, everybody. And in backing up what Steve just said, just want to show you something. Right now, we are live streaming onto the YouTube channel, the official Noumi YouTube channel. So right here, you can see, there is a live stream. Now, it's going to be a playback, and we get most of the traction by people watching in different time zones. But I want to point out that we did an app training, which is an overview without drilling into detail with Ryan just an hour ago. You can play that back there. If you then are someone who struggles with some technology, go down here further in the channel and go, okay, I want to learn how to do a playlist. Play, pause, do it, play again. And again, with the My Site setup, we can do exactly the same thing. So there's plenty of resources on that channel that you can go to right now as soon as we finish the call. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are based around the world.
Michael.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
For those of us who are older, how do you find that channel on Facebook?
You go to YouTube, not Facebook. You go to YouTube and you type in Noumi and look at Noumi Official. And if you struggle to do that, you definitely need to watch the ones that actually go through in slow-paced detail, because that was designed for people who are a little bit more technically challenged, and we can cover everybody with that.
So YouTube, Noumi Official channel.
Official. Noumi
Okay,
Official.
got it.
You'll see them right there. They're all color-coded blue. So any other channels are not the official channel.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, James. See you all
Love you
next
all. Have a great
Bye.
weekend. Drive safely. Remember, there are idiots out on the road. Try to avoid them at all costs. They're looking at their cell phones while they're driving. Yes, I do qualify. We'll talk to you later.